what does it mean to be a leader? Now, leadership is something that's always fascinated me. And what I learned is leadership just means influence. And it's not just about titles or leading a group. It is much deeper than that. So I want to give you guys my take on leadership because I believe it's very important. It's something I'm learning a lot about now, leading 2 7-figure companies. And the reason I'm wearing these glasses, they're not prescription. They're literally the Meta glasses, the Ray-Ban ones. The reason I'm wearing them is, firstly, I wanted to test to see what they were like because, I like to buy new tech and I can see how wearables are going to be the future, but that's off topic. The main reason I'm wearing them is because someone commented on my last video saying I look homeless. So I'm trying to look a bit more like a sophisticated homeless person in my beautiful home. And he also said I didn't come across I didn't carry myself well and that I'm faking it until I make it. And so while I do a serious talk on leadership, I thought so you don't see me as this homeless idiot. I thought, let me wear glasses so I can actually convince you that I know what I'm talking about. So that's the reason. They're to capture your attention and they're to make me look sophisticated so you think I know what I'm talking about, because apparently I don't. So let's talk about leadership, right? In my view, leadership is fundamentally about influence, right? It's the ability to inspire and drive change, and it can come from anyone at any level. So leaders can be anywhere. They can also be leaders within leaders, right? And so it's not just confined to a formal role or title. So what I mean by that is I'm leading my company, but then I have people under me that lead their teams, right? And then the leaders under them that lead their teams, right? And so you can have people associate a lot of leaders with almost charismatic leaders of mass movements, which we'll get into, but a lot of people think of leaders of presidents and stuff like that. But you can be the leader of your football team, you can be the leader, you can be a teacher in school and you're being a leader, right? Because all leadership is influence, right? And so leadership is a dynamic, powerful force, quite different from the structured roles of management, right? And so think about it, right? A leader is someone who makes an impact, steering people, shaping paths. And so it's about making a real difference, right? So leadership is very important, especially if you want to grow a company, but just important in anything. They talk about it in How to Win Friends and Influence People, but a big part of leadership is recognizing and appreciating others, right? So the power, and they talk about this in How to Win Friends and Influence People, but the power of genuine interest in others is the real key, right? Actually you can come across as such a nice, relatable, charismatic person if you actually just have a genuine interest in others. A lot of people deep in, a lot of people get nervous for interactions with people and, oh my God, how am I going to impress this girl? Or, oh my God, how am I going to impress this guy? Or this, wherever it is, how am I going to do well at this job interview or at this sales call? Having a genuine interest in people and a genuine curiosity will make the world of difference, and you'll come across you'll come across like you're carrying yourself a lot better, right? And so Dale Carnegie hit the nail on the head when he said, become genuinely interested in people. Now, I remember when I was working in a gym and I was just engaging in real conversations with people that would come in, and most of the time they wouldn't ask much about me because they're there just to treat me transactionally, right? But they'd leave feeling valued and heard, because I would actually show sincere interest. And I do the same when I go into stores or go into places where these workers, they're regular people, but people treat them as these very transactional thing, I'll just bag my groceries, I'll pay and go, which is fine. And I do that as well, right, from time to time. And so something I like to do is almost get people off guard and bring them out of their job a bit, because you forget that these people are genuine people, and outside of work, they are real and they might be really interesting. And so sometimes I'll ask questions that is stuff that they're not getting used to asking, they're not used to being asked stuff like that, which will sort of bring them out of their job role and back into their human self. They go from being a robot, yep, thanks, bye, have a good day, to actually being oh, that's that's an interesting question, blah, blah, blah. And I build a lot of good connections when I do stuff like that. And I would honestly recommend doing it. When you go out, the next time you go out, whether it's to a restaurant or to the grocery store, show genuine interest in the person that's serving you, and maybe dive a little deep with them in that 2-3 minutes that you got. And it will do them a world of good, and it'll make their day, and you'll come across as a very like nice, charismatic person, and it will help you build your charisma. It will help you become a leader, right? And it will just give you more value. And so I like to do that a lot. It's something that I find really interesting, just seeing how like everyone treats them, and then as soon as I say something different or kind of catch them off guard or maybe go a little deep, it's like instantly it's just like, oh, this guy's interesting. And so it's the little things that count in leadership, right? So for example, remembering birthdays. So what you need to do is get all your team, put their birthdays on your calendar, right? Acknowledging achievements is a big one. Knowing what makes each person unique is another really cool part of leadership. And so it's all about recognition and appreciation, right? Now, let's talk about gaining influence as a leader, right? So gaining influence as a leader is more than just being charismatic and friendly to people, right? That's part of it, and that's a really core, important part of it, which is why I encourage you to do that exercise I just gave, right? Or another little exercise I used to like to do is if you go out and you're like, you're walking through a town somewhere, go out and like make eye contact with people and just smile. Like literally, I used to go, like this is crazy, but I literally used to go out and I'd go to like a town near me, and a busy town. I'd literally walk through the town and I would just like look at people in the eye and like just give them a really genuine smile, and it would make people's days. And some people would just ignore me and probably be like, why the fuck's he smiling at me? But most people will smile back, and it just gives people like a really nice vibe, and it just makes their day. And so like I love doing little things like that, because everyone's so like stuck in like their robotic self and their like program self. So like it's nice to take people out there programming for a bit and just really like have that genuine sort of like interest in people, right? So it's more than just being charismatic and friendly though, right? Influence comes from producing exceptional results, showing a deep level of commitment, and possessing top-notch skills, right? So it's all about consistency, doing what you say you will. So if you say, I'm going to go out and just make eye contact with people and give them a little smile because maybe you're a bit too nervous to start conversations with people and dive a little deep, and you feel like, oh, maybe you shouldn't do it because they're just doing their job and you don't want to distract them. I trust that's not where it is. Like people love to be brought out of their job. Like they work in their job all day, every day. When someone brings them out, it's like the nice thing to do. And so like don't worry about like, oh, just treat people transactional. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, I just want to get in and out of places, and yeah, that's how it is, right? But I just do like to have fun with that. So like if you say you're going to do that, make sure you do it, right? Because every time a commitment is broken, a bit of influence fades away. So having strong and sometimes even polarizing views can draw people to you, right? So it's about being a problem solver, not a problem creator. And remember, the best leaders are also great followers, supporting initiatives passionately and effectively, right? So it's not just, you can't just always lead, you've got to also know how to follow, because that's where you pick up things, that's where you learn things, right? Being a leader is not having some God complex where you think you're the best and you can influence a bunch of people and lead a bunch of people. It's not about that at all, right? It's about having a genuine interest in people, being charismatic, being friendly, and possessing influence and influencing people for the better, right? You don't want to be like Hitler, like you don't want to be that type of leader, right? And so you don't want to be like a narcissistic leader, right? You want to draw people to you for the better, and you want to be a problem solver, not a problem creator, and also be a follower so you can actually learn things. Be a student of the game, right? Never think you're better than anyone, never think you're the best. So I always say us versus them is a crucial mindset when it comes to being a leader, especially when it comes to like business and teams. It's about picking the right team, being their advocate, not just playing games, but being the game maker, right? So like gamifying your business, game theory, research game theory, but like gamifying your business is a big thing that leaders do, creating games around your team to help them perform better and to help the company do better as a result of it. Because as a leader, you're not just one of the crew, you're actually steering the ship as well, right? And so like playing games, but like actually being the game maker of those games is really key in actually growing a company and producing really good results. So like, I'll give you an example. Our chat is at the agency. If you guys haven't seen the video, I'll put the video in like the card somewhere here. But I made a video on chatting, and like for the agency that we run, it's a very key part, and everyone just treats chatters as like this just regular like VA style job, but we actually treat them as salespeople, and we cultivated like a really solid environment for our chatters where it's gamified and where they actually want to get results and they actually want to do better and they want to come to work and they want to do extra hours and they love the environment and they love the culture. And I can make another video on culture because culture is really important, and culture and leadership go hand in hand. Like they perfectly fit into one another. And so if you can master both, you can have a really good company. But firstly, like I said, it is about picking the right team and having that like us versus them mindset. Like we're going to go win the Super Bowl this year kind of mindset. And so like what I was saying is picking the right team and playing games is super, super important. So an example of the games that we play, you can go and watch the chatting video, but we will be like, if you hit your KPIs or you do better than your KPIs or wherever, I'll message people individually. We'll play team games, so they all go into the same collective goal. Sometimes we'll also do team games plus individual games, or I'll message someone and be like, look, if you can do this today, I'll get you movie tickets or I'll buy you a steak dinner for you and your wife, right? And so like it just increases performance, and we've done some crazy stuff like buy F1 tickets for some of our employees and stuff like that, right? Just from playing that game, and they actually win the game by hitting their targets and performing better, bringing more company for the money, having fun while doing it, and actually feeling like they're working towards something, having that future-based cause, right? And so talking about the future-based cause, to operate as a leader, you need to know how to create a mass movement, right? And I'll just give you the gist of like a mass movement and operating as a leader, because it's a big subject that I could create another video on, a mass movement. But the gist of it is every successful movement in history has had a charismatic leader at the forefront. And then there's this new opportunity, a kind of groundbreaking change. And finally, every movement is driven by some type of future-based cause or future-focused cause that everyone's working towards. So those are like the 3 steps of a mass movement, right? You've got like the charismatic leader at the front of the mass movement, the new opportunity, and then the future-based cause that everyone's working towards, right? And so that's like really key. Russell Brunson made a really good book on it. If you go and watch Russell Brunson's like .com Secrets and you go and look at that series of books, he talks about the charismatic leader in a mass movement. It's like OG marketing stuff, and there's so many things you can learn from it. So like I said, if you want, I can make another video on it, but very, very high level stuff if you can really understand how to create a mass movement and position yourself as the charismatic leader of that mass movement. And so like I said, gaining influence, right, is more than just being charismatic or friendly. That's something to really like consider. And just remember, as a leader, you're not just one of the crew, but you're steering the ship, right? Now, there's also different leadership styles. So there's so many ways to lead, and I'll go over like some of the common leadership styles right now, and I'll also explain like what type of leadership style that I fit into. Now, the first leadership style you've got is actually the transactional leader. Now, this style is all about rewards and punishments. It's very clear cut, and it may not suit everyone, especially those looking for more creative freedom, right? Now, number 2, you have the transformative leader. Now, these leaders inspire innovation and empower their teams, and they offer autonomy, but may not fit into every corporate culture, right? Number 3, you've got the servant leadership, right? Servant leaders prioritize their team's development over their own agenda. It's a morale booster, though not all leaders find it natural to put others first. Then you have democratic leadership. Everyone probably already knows what that means, but here, everyone's voice matters. It's very inclusive, though sometimes reaching consensus can be slow. Then you have autocratic leadership, which is the direct opposite of democratic, right? And so these leaders make all the decisions and lead into quick actions, but potentially stifling creative input, right? Then you have bureaucratic leadership. This style is about sticking to the rules, relying on formal titles, and is stable but can lack flexibility. So when I'm talking about these leadership styles, try and think which one you think you would fit into, because it's very important for you to know what leadership style you fit under, right? And none of them are bad, and none of them are bad, none of them are good. Don't look at it like that. You just need to know what works with you, because it's all about how you actually lead people, right? And how you actually lead that mass movement. You don't want to be leading them like the Nazis, right? Because it doesn't matter what leadership style you fit into. If you go in the wrong way, if you're leading people and influencing people for the wrong reasons, then obviously, yeah, that's all I got to say on that, right? Then we've got charismatic leadership, right? Charismatic leaders are visionaries, known for inspiring and energizing their teams. They often become the face of an organization. Then you have laissez-faire leadership, right? I might have butchered that, but it's a very hands-off approach, giving the teams freedom while still holding leaders accountable, right? Great for self-starters, but not for everyone. Now, I fitted into this role massively, and there's still part of me that's like in that role a bit, but I would say I've kind of got, like, I'm out of that now, but it was because I didn't know how to lead when I first started. So I feel like a lot of people fit into this this leadership style where it's like hands off and you sort of give your team a bit of freedom, but you do hold the leaders accountable. So like, for example, when I first started, like Jack was one of the leaders and he led his team, and Adam was one of the leaders. And like, I would lead them and tell them what to do, but I wouldn't necessarily like do much else. And I would give them also just a lot of freedom in general. And so like, that was mainly because I didn't truly know what I was doing, but it also worked for me for a bit. But now I'm at a point where I would say I fit more into the last leadership style that I'm going to talk about today, which is situational leadership. And this is about adaptability, changing your style to meet the team's situation and needs, right? So I'm kind of a mix of number 9 and number 7 now, I would say, which is like charismatic leader, which is kind of like inspiring and energizing teams and often becoming the face of an organization, because that's what I am. But there's also parts of me that's very situational leadership based, which is about adaptability and changing your style to meet the team situation and needs. Almost like, I'll serve it how you slice it, right? That kind of whole vibe, right? Now, situational leadership is something that I really resonate with because it is about being adaptable and tailoring your approach to the team and the task. And there are different models of situational leadership, right? But the one Ken Blanchard and Paul Hersey stands out to me. It's based on matching your leadership style to the development level of your followers, right? So for example, number 1, telling. Here you make decisions and expect others to follow, and it's effective in crises or for consistent results. Then you have number 2, which is selling. You might set objectives, but you're open to suggestions, persuading others to join your vision. Then you have the third part, which is participating, right? This style involves sharing decision-making, allowing followers to take charge, and then you have 4, which is delegating. You give minimal guidance and let your team lead, but you're still responsible for the actual outcomes. And so my style is, like I said, I lean more towards situational leadership. It's like serving a meal. You adjust your approach based on who's at the table. But again, I'm also in a mix between this and then almost like the charismatic lead, because I am the face of my organization. And so like there's part of me that's like that as well, right? Now, I don't know, I'm still learning this stuff myself. I don't know if I should just purely be one and focus on being like one leadership style, or if you can be a kind of mix. Like, because right now I'd say I'm kind of like a hybrid. And so I don't know if that's right or wrong. I'm doing okay. Maybe it's going to stop me from getting to $1 million a month or 2 million a month or even more. But like I said, I'm learning with you guys, so I'm just giving you my insights on what I currently know. Like, you don't have to take this as gospel. This is just what I'm currently learning. And I've spent over like 50,000 on mentorship programs in the last like 6 months to like learn this side of things. And so I'm still learning just like you. I'm still getting better. And so like, if you're above me watching this video and you're probably thinking, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. I'm sorry, but hopefully it is valuable for a lot of people, because it's helped me get to where I'm at right now, and I'm doing okay for myself. I'm doing all right? And so, like, just really wrapping this video up, because that's pretty much like all I wanted to talk about. I can make another bit on leadership, but there's a lot that goes into it. I don't want to make this video super long because it's a raw video, but like just to wrap it up, right? I've got like a little assignment for you. So think about your view of leadership, maybe jot it down, make a Loom video. And how about adding your team's birthdays to your calendars? That's another little assignment, right? Because it shows you care. Little things like that shows you care, right? And consider adding your key team members to your favorite list on your phone, because it keeps those important connections close. And And that's mainly the last little things for you, right? Those are the little assignments. Think about your viewer leadership, jot it down, maybe make a Loom video. Think about adding your team's birthdays to your calendar because it shows you care, and consider adding your team members to your favorite list on your phone because it keeps those important connections close, right? So that's it for our little leadership chat. Hopefully you found this engaging as I did. I'm really interested in leadership right now, and leadership theory and game theory and all these things. But leadership is a journey and we're all learning as we go. So can't wait to catch up again in the next one. And until then, keep leading, keep inspiring, and I will see you at the top.